Hey y'all, how's it going? And welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Jasmine, and on Wednesdays, we talk about all things writing. I've decided to do somewhat of a different setup this year, something that is a little bit more consistent, but yet varied at the same time, even though those are two completely contradicting things. I was thinking that it would be a good idea if I gave you guys some bi-weekly and end of the month updates with some of my writing projects. That way, I don't feel like I have to do a weekly vlog every single week of how my progress is going, because I feel like there just isn't a lot to tell within a week of writing. But once I get to more of a 2-week mark or a 1-month mark, I could give a little bit more of a definitive idea of where I think my writing goals are going for that moment. And on the weeks in between, I could do some more fun writing experiments. So I feel like that would be the most balanced way that I could do that. For this week, I don't have too much as far as vlog content for writing specifically, but I'm going to start making some small videos for the next Writers Wednesday update. But in the meantime, I thought that I would share with you the way that I am keeping track of my progress for writing. That way it could be something else that is inside of your toolbox, not necessarily coming from a place of this is how you should keep track of your writing, but an option. I do use Google Sheets. You could also use Excel if you have Microsoft products. And I will be the first to say that I am no expert at Sheets or Excel. In fact, I am completely not experienced at all with things considering Excel and Sheets, which is very ironic because I literally took a Microsoft Excel class in college because I knew that I would need it. Did I learn a damn thing? It's debatable. So a little less than a year ago, I believe that it was March of last year, I decided to start specifically counting my words and doing a daily word count. So we are going to start in what I am calling now the archives. This is any word count that I had done previous to this year. Don't mind my husband singing in the other room. It is a force that cannot be stopped. Okay, so inside of the archives, you can kind of see the way that I have organized it. Basically, I wrote down the year before I realized that I was going to be making an archives list. You can see that I had a really great progress in April. The funny thing about this day is I tried to delete it, not realizing that I had added a ton of connecting equations to the rest of the chart. Generally, if I do completely skip a day and I write 0 words, I will not add in the date at all, just so there aren't awkward gaps in between some of these days. So you can actually see how many days I wrote out of that year. Granted, I started pretty late in the year. It looks like I started recording in early April. But with that being said, writing for 22 days out of the year is still not a spectacular percentage. Yikes. I wrote less than 1% of days out of the year. So obviously it was not a very strong writing year for me last year. I'm not even exactly sure why. I wrote a lot, and I think that that was part of the problem, is all of the times that I would write a lot of words. As you can see, like the first day that I wrote 1,100 words. That's a lot. That's a lot of words. So I feel like that's the only thing that was keeping me somewhat successful in making the book that I did. I started writing the first draft of Sleepless Wonder at the beginning of April, or at the very least, I think I only had like a few chapters written up. So this is pretty much the main entirety of the beginnings of Sleepless Wonder, which is so crazy to me because now I've actually been keeping up relatively well. So far, today's the 15th. I haven't written today, but I am planning on doing it tonight. As much as I would love to write in the morning to get all of my creative energy out, I haven't been able to get up recently. That is something that I want to work on. But as far as this track record goes, it's 60%. We are literally doing 10 times better being consistent at writing than we were last year. Since there has only been 15 days of the year, I think that I can do a pretty good job keeping up now. So basically what I have set up here, and once again, I did it a little bit differently last year. It's not as refined, but this year I feel like I added in some pretty good notations. And for all of you Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel geniuses out there, I would love to hear some things that you would add in, or some fun things that you have found make it easier to keep track of your words. And I will put out a disclaimer, I don't think that tracking your words is the end all be all, but I do think that it is an easy way to see your progress with the book and not get discouraged. I also have an extremely low goal which is very achievable. I will get to that in just a second. Okay, so obviously I have got the year written down, and I also have the month. If you go down, I have the days pre-planned. Now these days are not subject to stay depending on if I write or not, but in good spirits that I will write almost every day, I like to pre-plan it just a little bit so that I at least have something to look forward to. Obviously we've got the days, and this is the actual daily amount that I write. So this begins and ends during a 24-hour period. So if I decided to write twice during one day, then I would add those sum of words together, and then I add my daily to my monthly. Now, since it is January, the monthly and the yearly is going to be identical, but once we get down to February, this amount is going to start over. So the first time that I write every month, the daily and the monthly is going to be identical. But for now, everything that I have written so far in the month of January, the monthly and the yearly is identical. And then you can see my daily goal. So for right now, this month, my daily goal is writing 300 words a day, which is really not that hard of a goal. I know that most people write down 500 to 1,000 words, and I am not going to fault anybody who has that daily goal. Something that I have found is that with making a goal of writing a huge sum of words each day, it can definitely be a very daunting task, which causes me to not write at all. So I wanted to start with something really, really easy. And as you can see, the first 2 days, I did not accomplish the goal. So I am slowly working up to what I feel like would be my comfort level. It's almost like stretching a muscle. Like, you don't want to obviously overdo it and then just never lift weights at all, but you do want to try and push yourself. So at this point, I am actually doing much more than 300. I had one slow day a few days ago, but otherwise the average is about 500 to 700. It looks like only 4 days out of the 9 days that I have written have been slower writing wise, but I would consider that a win. Like, about 60% of the time I am far surpassing my goal. So I may adjust the writing goal in February, just depending on how I'm feeling about it. And honestly, I probably wouldn't even change it that much. Maybe I would change it to like 350 or 400, but I know that I can reach 500 or 700, but I would rather go way above than barely reaching it or not doing it at all. I also wrote down some notes. For right now, I am finishing up the first draft of Sleepless Wonder. And one of the things that I have heard is really good to do with your first draft is to just put it away for a while and just kind of have your mind do a reset when you go back and do your first edits. So in that case, my hope and my goal is that I will be able to finish this book at the very least by the end of this month. So if you scroll down, I have a note to check back on Sleepless Wonder at the beginning of April. That way I can do better revisions, having a fresh set of eyes. And on the in-between, I have another book that I could do a third round of edits on. And I really would like to stick with stories that I am currently in the middle of or am editing, because I want to save one of my newer drafts and one of my newer stories that I've been thinking of. If you know anything about me, I literally have like 30 different story ideas at the same time. The problem is not, what else can I write about? The problem is giving good enough attention to one idea before starting the other. I really don't have a problem with starting first drafts. First draft is the easy part. I do have my goal adjusted for July. I have doubled it, and that might change. It might be lower, it might be higher. But in this case, for July, I would really love to do Camp NaNoWriMo this year. I have never really been able to fully commit to a Camp NaNoWriMo. I believe that I have done actual NaNoWriMo once, but otherwise I haven't been able to really do it just based on scheduling and the busyness of the summer, and also for NaNoWriMo, just the busyness of the holidays. But this year, I feel like I am committing a lot more to just staying at home, so all of these goals are a little bit more reasonable. So I want to save the next project that I am hoping to work on until July, and just doing a bunch of finishing up first drafts, editing, revising, editing, revising. This is going to be a very, very big editing year because I really want to get my stuff out. I've been working on it for so long, and I just want to see some progress. So honestly, I'm going to write a note right here that just says start just damaged. I never call my books project insert ambiguous noun or subject here, because honestly the titles is one of the first things that I think about, and so I feel that it is a little bit silly to make them different titles. I know that some people struggle with titles, or they want to wait until the book is is finished before they come up with a title, but I come up with titles pretty quickly. So just as a bit of an overview, I go by year, month, and day just for the tracking of time itself. And then for the actual word count, I do a daily, monthly, and yearly count. I also have a daily goal set in which I color code if I have achieved that goal or not, and also specifically of what I was working on. So the inspiration to make this Excel sheet in the first place was to see if I could accomplish my wordy in a year. And I did not realize how many freaking numbers a million is until I did some math. I don't think that it would be reasonable for me to accomplish Milwordy in 1 year. However, if I write every day, I still feel like I would be accomplishing a good goal almost every day. I would also like to count the amount of words from last year versus once I do get to April of this year. That way I could have a little bit better of a gauge of what I have done year to year rather than just the number years themselves. Obviously, the bulk of it is probably going to be this year because I'm actually being a lot more dedicated to writing every day. Again, I am no Excel wizard. I am not going to be the writer that is going to hop on to the internet and tell you how to do things when I am just trying to figure them out myself. But I just wanted to share it with you in case you wanted to add that to your toolbox if it works for you. Over the next few weeks, I would like to come up with some more ideas and some more writing experiments that I could do on the in-between. I do have a series that I want to start called Taking Writing Advice from Pinterest. I feel like that would be a really fun series to continue because I still have way too many writing pins and I need to get rid of them. I know a really common one is writing for 24 hours or doing another writer's writing routine. I would really love to come up with a writing routine myself. It's been a struggle, but we're figuring it out. I hope that you found some value in this video and perhaps sparking some ideas of how you could record your word count. Sayonara, you guys, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.